7:14 on this December 3rd. I want to welcome to microphone number 2, Baxter County Sheriff John Montgomery.
Good morning, Dale.
Howdy, Sheriff.
And how are you as we listen to Mountain Talk 97?
I am good. Well, yeah, after yesterday's shooting in San Bernardino, I mean, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear something like that?
Well, I think the first thought process was terrorism, similar to what happened in Paris. But the second thing I got to tell you is, I wonder if, since that was a Christmas party, logically, or at least I think it's a reasonable assumption, that typically there's probably no one at that Christmas party that was armed with a concealed carry or had it with them anyway. And so I guess my first thought was, I wonder how many lives could have been saved had there been a few folks that might have been armed.
You're right.
And of course, I realize we'll never know that, but I get very frustrated at the mindset that we need to have stricter gun control. It wouldn't have stopped them from getting the weapons. Now they can say, well, they purchased them legally. I'm telling you, the bad guys don't honor the laws anyway. So you can make all the laws you want, and the only people that's going to honor those laws is the law-abiding citizens. So it's no different than if you put a sign up here that said no guns allowed in this building. Well, the law-abiding citizens won't bring them in, but the bad guys don't care.
Right?
Do you think if you have a sign that says no guns allowed, that's going to keep the bad guy from walking in with a gun and robbing the place? They don't care, and yet that's what the mindset of some folks are. Now, while I do believe strongly in the Second Amendment, and I believe strongly in the concealed carry concept, and proud for those folks, I also don't think that needs to be forced onto everyone. If you don't feel comfortable with a gun or don't want to have one on you or in your house, you shouldn't have to. But at the same time, don't take away my right because I want to. Sorry. Soapbox.
Well,
it seems like I've been on my soapbox a couple times this week.
Stay on it for a while because I agree, plus the fact, if I'm seeing, if I saw correctly, they were a Muslim husband and wife that attacked what they're calling a holiday party. Of course, they're keeping Christmas out of it because they don't want to offend the people that shoot us, But apparently they're having a little holiday party there at the center, and these people attacked.
Oh, left and came back.
Yeah. Brilliant. And a black SUV. I mean, the scenario was that they set themselves up. I mean, it's almost like, were they almost suicide type people?
Well, I'm not.
It's hard to read. I know,
and I really don't want to. To me, there's all kinds of thoughts processes, and we can what if, but the investigation, I am confident, is just very, very much in its infancy out there. And
sure.
So a lot of times people speculate, and I just think law enforcement needs to be given a little bit of time to sort through and come up with some
I was watching one of the press conferences, Sheriff, and there was a lady trying to do the best job she could. Of course, all the majors were out there, networks, and they're asking all these. We don't have that yet. We don't have. Here's why I'm here. We're telling you, we know this fact, this fact, this fact. Now, at 4:45 Pacific time, we're going to have another press conference, and we're going to bring out as many facts as we have. And the questions keep rolling in. I don't have that yet. I don't, let law enforcement do their jobs. Back off, get the cameras out of their face, let them do their jobs, and then they'll let us know what's going on.
Exactly. And while the public has a right to know what's going on, and that's the responsibility of the news media to help get that information out. At the same time, responsibility has to come there. And I will tell you, and I heard and honestly today I couldn't tell you which news broadcaster, but at some point they said right now the number one priority at that point, of course this was shortly after the shootout there at with the SUV.
What time did it happen, California time? Do you know? Was it around lunchtime, 11:30, something like that? I think.
But in late afternoon or evening or whatever, when the shootout happened with the SUV, and even though they thought they had him somewhat in custody or taken care of, law enforcement was still very active. I feel confident because, as one news report said, right now their priority is to making sure that there's nobody else and that the public is safe. That is the number one thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, and I guess I climb back on my soapbox a little bit. While we don't have any type of armored vehicles here, the big push of, we got to take the armored military type style. Let me tell you something. All you had to do is watch the news last night, and you'll see exactly why
they have that.
That tactical equipment.
I was thinking the same thing. I was going between NBC, CBS, Fox, and ABC, and CBS had a tighter zoom on the camera, and you could see that gauntlet-type vehicle going up so the officers could get closer to the SUV. And I thought, that's the very stuff that they want to take away from them.
Absolutely. And let me just tell you, it's different. If we were back in I'll just say that, the 70s, the type of criminal, we really didn't deal with domestic terroristic here. I mean, you might have someone that goes on some sort of a rampage, but it wasn't a terroristic type thing. Yeah. And I can tell you, after the Paris deal, going over the Thanksgiving holiday, law enforcement all over the U.S. were giving sort of a heads-up warning that they were expecting something like this again across the U.S., looking for soft targets. So it's not that we here in Baxter County, loaded up and put every officer we had on the street, but we certainly put that information out to our officers to be extra diligent and be aware. So we're dealing with a whole different type of mentality, type of criminal, and throw terrorism in the mix. That's why those type of tactical equipment, that's why they're needed.
In your education as a law enforcement official, do you look at other radical so-called religions that might go after? And I'm not saying this was a Christian celebration. This was a little Christmas holiday party at a Center for Developmental Issues. I mean, when you have people that go in for mental handicaps, and they're having a little holiday party, maybe Santa Claus, cookies, hot chocolate, and they get gunned down. Now, I'm not saying they're all kids, but there's a lot of adults that work there. In your training, do you get the psychological part of what these radicals are thinking out of Islam or that Muslim faith? No.
Well, and Dale, you're getting into the mindset, and I've always tried to steer clear of that because, number one, while you have the ideology of, and I'm going to call it radical Islam. Yeah. I'm not saying all Islamic folks are bad, no more than I would say.
Well, I'm Baptist, but look at this Westview Baptist bunch that protests the funerals of that irritates the thunder out of me.
So again, when you look at the ideology of certain folks, yes, but when you start getting down to why did this person do this or why does this person take drug, I don't even think, honestly, that you're getting into the mental state there that's way beyond. Those are what the experts of psychiatrists and psychologists and those type things. So no, I can't get into their minds. In this case, again, I still say the day after, it's too soon to say, was it terrorism or not? Now, certainly, should we be looking at that? Absolutely. Yeah. When you look at what just happened in Paris, when you look at their videos and that they put out, the propaganda that they're going to be targeting America, certainly that's something that they're looking at. But to say it is or is not today I think is way too soon until they dig into it some more.
Okay, let's bring it home. We've got a little issue that, as Christian folks, we've let it move on. Christmas started the Twin Lakes Nativity Scene contest here. But what if we wanted to push the envelope? County judge was here the other day, and the mayor yesterday, and they were talking about somebody wanting to do a little peaceful protest. There's no reason to protest the fact that the judge has ruled. No, we're not happy, so let's set up nativity scenes on all the businesses. Why be negative when we can turn it into a positive? See what I'm saying? But it's something maybe as minor, and I don't want to, how can I use that carefully? the nativity on the courthouse lawn is minor compared to what happened in San Bernardino, California, but yet something this small can escalate. My son and I was watching an episode of Andy Griffith yesterday, and I said, this has the social ramification of something getting blown out of proportion. Andy and Barney going through some old files, and there was a 19-year-old file that had not been signed off on, where Floyd had punched the groceryman in the nose over 75 cents worth of a shave. All in all, by the time it got to the end of the program, the whole town was divided into two camps punching each other in the nose over something that didn't matter 19 years ago. Do we let things get blown out of proportion?
Absolutely. There's no question. and I think part of it is because we, and I want to make sure you understand that I'm not saying that we need to give in or cave to our beliefs, but sometimes I think that we have created a situation where we are not willing to listen to anyone else's views or ideas.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're talking about religion or politics or whatever. I mean, Baptist, Methodist, it doesn't make any difference. We're all working towards the same goal, and that's to honor God, worship God, and get to heaven. Okay. At the same time, on the politics, we should be on the same goal. Now, we know where we want to go, or hopefully we know where to go, and we may have different ideas on how we need to get there. If you took off and went to Nashville today, you and I probably would not drive the same route, but we have the same goal. And yet, if you're sitting there going to argue with me about the route I take and how wrong I am and all of this stuff, instead of saying, well, that's interesting.
I'll race you, John.
why do you go that way? Why is that your? And then at the end of the day, I may not change your mind.
Yeah.
And really, I shouldn't be trying to change your mind. I mean, I can tell you my feelings and why I do. And again, using that analogy, why I'm taking that route to Nashville. At the end of the day, you can say, I may try that, or no, I'm not. Yeah. We're just going to agree to disagree and go on. But no, what happens in politics and religion is all of a sudden, well, by God, I hate you because you're not gonna agree with me.
A punch in the nose of the barbershop,
and that to me is so wrong.
Yeah.
With what happens across America.
In my opinion, now get off the soapbox a minute so I can stand up on it. Had the administration handled Ferguson a lot better in support of the law enforcement, I can't see that this would have been stopped, because if these people in San Bernardino were actually Muslim terrorists, I don't know that it could have been stopped at all. But had we handled Ferguson different, you wouldn't have had Baltimore and New York and were some of the others that have transpired. Chicago, I think there's been some in Chicago as well.
Well, the problem is that, and I do say that's why sometimes we, and I'm putting everybody in this category, start speculating and rationalizing and jump in before the facts are known.
Yeah.
So in the case of Ferguson, they jumped in before the facts were known, and they were wrong.
Uh-huh.
And because they jumped in and started making statements that were proven to be incorrect, they, in my opinion, created a large part of that mess that Ferguson had. Had they just sit back and given it a few days and let some of the facts come out in that case.
Let the local authorities handle it.
And I'm not saying that at some point maybe they do come in, whether I agree with them coming into local, but if they did, at least now you've got more of the facts. The information they had, the propaganda they put out was wrong.
Mm-hmm. And then to bring Sharpton into St. Louis, that just fueled the fire. So, I don't know. How come you're not more gray-headed with what you got to put up with in law enforcement than what you are? Well, I've got more gray hairs than you do.
I've got a whole lot more gray hair than I had 10 years ago.
Final 30 seconds for a good news break. What's your thoughts?
We're blessed. I'm telling you, we are blessed to live in this community with everything we have, from the giving attitude of our community and the churches and all the way down to the hospital and the tremendous medical care we have, and the library and the school systems and the college, and I'll throw law enforcement in there. We are a blessed community.
Amen to that. Visit with Sheriff John Montgomery. That brings us up to news time. Stick around. We'll be right back. More to come second half of the show. $7:35 on a beautiful, did I say beautiful? Beautiful December 3rd. And at mic number 2, Sheriff John Montgomery.
We're back.
We're back. Like a bounce from a bad onion. We got the parade, the tree lighting. You're going to speak, you said?
Yes, I've been, what an honor. I was asked by Mr. and Ms. Spencer to say a few words tomorrow night before they flip the tree on, the official tree lighting ceremony. I appreciate Rick and them for doing that all these years, and so yeah, it's an honor. But that starts at 5:30 tomorrow night. Christmas parade will be lined up. I think the weather's supposed to be really nice.
Yeah.
Invite you to come down. They're also going to do it's just not a big deal, but sort of a little honoring of law enforcement in the area at that time tomorrow night at 5:30, and so invite folks to come down and show their support, watch the Christmas parade as it comes by, and also look around the square at all of the nativity scenes that are all around that area.
Mm-hmm. Lost one and gained how many so far? I got to get mine put in the wood. I gave my form in to Chris, and I want to compliment Shays on Highway 5 South. They've got a nice one out. Shays Appliance. On Highway 5. I drove by there yesterday, and they were working on it, getting it all set up. So thanks to Shays Appliance for putting one out.
But I'll go back again to what I said earlier about your ideals. If you have one at your house, don't be mad because your neighbor doesn't want to put one at their house.
Yeah.
It's your business.
Like last year's the first time I decorated outside in 20 years. And so we can do it or we don't have to. I mean,
it's your choice. And that's what's great about America.
Yep.
It's your choice.
Yep. I hear you. So, anyway, what's going on in the sheriff's office?
We've been a little busy lately.
Yeah. Can you elaborate, or some of the stuff confidential?
Well,
classified?
there's the cases. We got 2 big cases still going on, and we're in the middle. We're still very, very busy with many other cases.
So you're still working on the
hit and run accident where the man was killed on the bicycle.
Bicycle.
We're still working on that. We are following up leads. We had leads continuing to come in yesterday. We're following up all these leads. So far, nothing has panned out. There was a reward group of citizens that got together. I think that's up to about $4,800. So we want to encourage folks. I don't care how small you may think that tip is. If you hear something or see something unusual, call us. Let us know. If you don't really want to get involved, a lot of people don't. We've got anonymous tip lines or emails that you can send and report information. We get stuff in daily, really, about all kinds of cases. And so and the easy way, just go to our website and submit a crime tip, or even from your mobile phone. We have an app. If you go to Baxter County Sheriff on your mobile device, there's a spot here. I'll pull it up here for you real quick, Dale. When that loads, right here in the middle, it says submit a crime tip.
Huh.
And you can even attach a picture.
Really?
Which occasionally, and it's anonymous. So, you can put your email address if you want us to contact you back, but it's anonymous, and we occasionally will get a picture of a bad guy or in the middle of doing something bad, stealing, whatever, and they'll submit that. And while we may not know where the tip came from, I'm telling you, it's huge. And I said this at one of the press conferences when we were talking about the double homicide up here. We are so blessed to live in this community. I believe law enforcement, and I'm not just talking about the sheriff's office, I'm talking about law enforcement, state police and city police of the different cities, We have a great relationship with this community, and it's because of that relationship that people were so willing to help. Tips come pouring in. Now, granted, some of them were not correct or didn't pan out, but it was truly not a single tip, but it was a series of tips that came in that helped us solve that case so quickly.
On the home?
On the double homicide, yes. So we want folks to continue. You see something that's not right, call us or turn it in. That's simple. Your neighbors, if you see, you may or may not be a part of an official neighborhood watch program, but you can still be, your neighbors can be watching on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Report it. I'd rather you report it and we find out that it's nothing than you not report it and then have to go work up a crime scene or a burglary or whatever later.
Ain't that the truth? My goodness. Budget time? Chuckle.
Well,
at least fuel prices are lower this year.
I know. That's the only thing that's kind of semi-saving us. Actually, I'll be leaving here, going back, and I'm pouring over 15's budget. They just passed 16's next year's budget at the last court meeting on Tuesday night. I addressed the budget committee 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, and when I was asked about budget, and I said, well, 2 weeks prior to that, I sat here and told you that we were doing okay, and I really thought we would come in the black, and I'd have actually turned some money back. And then we have the double homicide and the hit and run, and I'm not sure, and I'm still not sure. We had just the sheriff's office had 500 hours in overtime.
500 hours in overtime.
That's That's not hours. That's overtime.
Overtime, yeah. Now, your overtime starts at 40 hours, after 40 hours?
Yes. So,
how many people were, take the double homicide and the arson, how many different agencies were involved?
Oh, my gosh. We had actually folks from the Game and Fish. We had state police, not only locally, but surrounding counties. We had them travel from Russellville. We had them from Little Rock, because we called in. We called in all the help we could get. We had, city police involved. Game and Fish was involved. And you think about it. Yes, we pulled out all the stops.
How does Game and Fish help in something like that?
Because they're fully certified law enforcement.
Oh, really?
So, absolutely. So, really? They can run down certain leads depending on where they're at. And a lot of times, and I've got to take a moment to pat our law enforcement on the back. And when you looked at, we're in there. I mean, there were several nights early on in that homicide investigation. It's 2, 3 in the morning. We're still working strong. And what I was so impressed with is the way that all the law enforcement work together. We all have personalities, we all have egos, and sometimes those get in the way, not only here but everywhere else. But I can tell you, and what was so impressed to me, when a lead would come in at 1 in the morning and everybody's exhausted and tired, it wasn't like, oh, well, that's not a big lead, find somebody to go run that down. No, it was whoever the first person was grabbed it and said, I will go check that out.
And around the clock, then?
Around the clock. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I had investigators. Some worked, around the clock. Some others, I know one night left the sheriff's office at 5:30 and had to be back at 9 in the morning. Okay, so, to run home, try to get an hour and a half sleep and come back. And not just the sheriff's office, but the state police. Again, we just, and when we had the press conference, and I want to say, typically with the state police, I mean, they're going to send someone up from Little Rock that's part of their, to handle the media and so on and so forth. I actually requested that we could have the local folks stand up with that press conference. Mark Hollingsworth and David Small are from this area. They worked tirelessly on this case, and I think folks wants to see. Well, they want to see the local folks and know that this is not somebody from somewhere else that's coming here to try to tell us what's going on. These are our friends and neighbors in law enforcement that work here with us, and because I think the public trusts that. So fortunately, they were the colonel was kind enough to allow us to use Mark and David in that press conference, and I appreciate it, because hats off.
Yeah, wow. Long hours, and has that been concluded?
Well, most people think it has. I hear that. Well, I'm glad y'all are done with that case. No, we are far from done with the case. Now, do we have 3 folks in custody? Yes, we have 3 arrests. 3 have been charged with capital murder, and now, as of yesterday, since the remains have positively been identified of Mrs. Rice, prosecutors in the process of adding a second capital murder charge to those 3. Yeah. And so, yes, we do have that, but we are far from over. We had again meetings yesterday to go over what's left to do. Still tons of interviews. Still lots of case. Nobody has any idea the amount of paperwork involved and logging of evidence, and it's just
the handling of evidence and the storing of evidence,
yes,
if needed.
Yes, absolutely. So there's been numerous trips made back and forth to Little Rock for the crime lab on these 2 cases.
Is that the only crime lab in the state?
Yes.
Does it have to be in Little Rock? Or can they not have substations around the state to save you guys some money and time? There
was a push here a few years ago to actually do a satellite crime lab here.
I remember that, yeah. Was it 10, 11 years ago?
Yeah, well, sooner than within that time, probably 7 or 8 years ago. But part of the problem, and during that time frame, I was asked to be involved, and we actually went to near Orlando, Florida, to look at some other options and possibilities. But I also understand it's really not the physical space, it's the bodies. And when you look at what it costs for some of these experts, if you put a satellite here, now you've got to have all new staffing and so on and so forth. And so
that's a lot of dollars for salaries.
Yeah. Yeah. So while it certainly is frustrating at times, they do a good job down there. They really do. And I know Kermit Chandler runs the crime lab well. We had a situation where we actually we have kind of a little, had to have a big time rush job on this, one of the big cases, and could sit there and call him and say, hey, we need some help. And, they're just so accommodating, and they do a great job down there.
Visiting with Sheriff John Montgomery. Time for a quick break. We'll be right back. 7:50 on this beautiful December 3rd. Real quick, the Cookie Walk, Saturday, December 5th, 8 a.m. to noon at St. Peter the Vincent's Catholic Church. And if you've never attended the Cookie Walk, join us this year. So many in the community, along with our parishioners, look forward to browsing the 28 tables with holiday treats. Come have a cup of coffee, hot chocolate, and visit the Broken Cookie Table. They do a good job over there. This is for the St. Vincent de Paul. All proceeds to St. Vincent de Paul for the ministry in our community. It helps folks in need. And if you need some information, you can call 321-4926 or call Mary Jo at 425-2832. Good.
Actually, in the middle of thanking everybody, I forgot a good friend of mine who spent a lot of time investigator with state police, Dennis Simons. I call him chopped liver, but but I forgot to mention Dennis because he did come up. He's from a neighboring county and spent a lot of hours. 2, 3, 4 in the morning up there with us. So Dennis, if you're listening, I'm very sorry I left you out of that. And there's lots of other folks, but he's really has spent it. In fact, he and I spent a Thanksgiving day together with some of our detectives working another homicide on Christmas Day, or Thanksgiving Day. I'm sorry,
this year?
But no, about 4 years ago or something like that. So yeah, he's been great to come up and to work. So chopped liver, if you're listening, sorry I left you out.
Well, this will be the last chance we have to visit unless you have a walk-in issue sometime in December. Christmas, New Year's, holidays, your thoughts?
For the sheriff's office, I mean, it's
Quiet time, I hope?
well, it depends. It really it depends. It on the weather has a lot to do with it. But a couple of quick tips, folks. Two things. Number one, lock your cars if it's in your driveway, whatever. You know, even if it's in your driveway, lock your car. If you look at the 60-some car break-ins, every single one of them had been left unlocked. If you are shopping at, Walmart or the grocery store, the whatever, lock your car, keep your packages hid, don't leave your purse out in the front seat where people can see it.
Yeah.
If you're shopping in your shopping cart, don't leave your purse unattended. In other words, those are just small little things you can do to help not only keep from becoming a victim, but also helps the law enforcement, because that's not resources we're having to try to solve those cases. We do have folks that will work around the clock. All the holidays, we've got folks that have to work. The jailers have to work at the jail. Yep. The deputies have to work the street. And so those are things that I think sometimes we all take for granted, that there's folks out here working the holidays to keep us safe. And
yeah, I got a dumb question. We use a lot of debit cards and credit cards this holiday season. I've got a minute and 30 seconds to get this comment made. On the back of the card is an 800 number in case of lost or stolen. Now, if I don't have that number memorized or in my phone and I lose my card at the Christmas season, somebody's going to be racking up some charges on this before I can report it stolen. Isn't it a good idea to have that number recorded?
Yeah, it's a good idea to have the numbers. If you have more than one credit card, write down those numbers in case you do lose, or get stolen, wallet, purse, whatever.
And that happens a lot
this
happen. Time of year.
It does happen. I guess I want to put a short plug out. Again, our law enforcement, we are so blessed. Whatever agency that you're talking about, this whole community is
We're blessed.
We
are citizens, because look what you are doing for us.
Well, but I'm a citizen too, and I'm just so thankful of our law enforcement from city, county, state. We're just unbelievably blessed. And when you travel elsewhere, you don't realize sometimes how blessed we are until you go somewhere else. Yeah. So I would ask for folks to keep us in your prayer, and not just us, but our families. They suffer. Yeah. When they, the folks that leave, they go to work, they don't know if they're coming back. They suffer because they have to work long hours. They don't see them for sometimes days on end. The stress level that it causes for the law enforcement, So please keep law enforcement and their families in your prayer.
Amen to that. You bet.
And again, I thank the citizens for...
And we thank you. You're doing a great job, and we appreciate how well all the agencies work together to make this one community.
It is one community. It's God's country. I say it all the time.
And from our radio station to you, Sheriff, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll see you in January.
Merry
Christmas.
Absolutely back.
We appreciate our Sheriff, John Montgomery. You're doing a great job. That wraps it up for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.